Welcome to the We're Good podcast, where we are celebrating the everyday brilliance of people working toward a more positive world. If you're looking for the good that's taking place around you, you've come to the right place. And we are so glad that you're joining us. And today, we're actually the kickoff of We're Good. And I am so excited to be joined by the two other founders of We're Good and my business colleagues. And I'm so thrilled you're here, Tanya LaForce and Mary Ellen Chandler. Thank you so much for being with us today. I want to say full disclosure that you both were like, fine, just being behind the scenes, but we were telling our story recently, and someone said, this is how you should kick off the podcast. So let's talk about where We're Good got its name and where it came from. Tanya, I remember you and I having a cup of coffee in spring of 2021. Mm-hmm. So it was that long ago when we both started sharing our story. I think it's kind of cool. Tell me what you remember, my friend.
Yes. So what I remember was we were on opposite sides of a bench having a cup of coffee. It was during COVID.
Outside.
We were outside.
Yes.
And we were, I think, all just very reflective. And you were telling me that you were like, I haven't shared this with anybody, but I am going to start a podcast. And, you know, my background as a journalist, my last name is Necessary, and I want to start something called Necessary Conversations. And I'm like, Leanne, I've had this idea. Did I tell you that I wanted to do something more about good stories? And so I've got this idea for We're Good and getting good stories out there. But I thought I was going to be doing something in film and video. And I was like, there's some overlap here. I don't know what it is, but let's keep talking about it. So that's what I remember way back when.
Exactly how I remember it. We both got goosebumps because we were like, wait a minute, how could this be happening at the same time?
And oh, by the way, we confessed to each other. Oh my God, I have this idea.
Like, okay, are we crazy to do this, to want to do this? So then Mary Ellen, who I've just gotten to know over the past year and a half, which has been wonderful, you were having a similar conversation with Tanya too. She's our great connector.
She is.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost the same conversation. It was 2021, and the world that I work in has been the nonprofit world for many, many years. And I work with people doing good. I sit on a board of nonprofits. People are all doing good. And everything I saw in the news was negative. And I thought, there's a lot of good work being done. And why aren't we hearing about it? And so I said to myself, this is kind of a calling, and I've had callings before in my life and I haven't paid attention to. I said, I have to pay attention to this one. Yeah. And I reached out to Tanya and another friend, and we got together, and I said just that, what I've just told you. Negative headlines, people are doing good. Why aren't we reading about it? And Tanya said, have I talked to you about my story? What I'm thinking about We're Good? And I said, no. And I think we both got chills. Yes. And that started our conversation. And so here we are, the three of us, telling these stories now.
Yeah, and the ability to tell the stories and to tell them well is so exciting. I have a background in television news, and I know that the news organizations do try. It's an amount of time, right? And the nonprofits don't always have the time to be able to get their stories out. And so that's what we said. We want to fill that gap. And so I have that background. You were in finance. You were in business development marketing. So it all seemed like it has come together as a good model, bringing us together. And we really just want to turn these microphones over to the people who need them. I think that one of the things is that you are working in the nonprofit world still. And what is it when we bring, and by the way, we have already heard some amazing stories, haven't we?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I mean, we've already done quite a few of the podcasts, which I want everyone to tune in. But we've heard some amazing stories. And I have found out about a lot of the nonprofits that I knew, things that they're doing that I didn't know they were doing. So Mary Ellen, from a nonprofit world, when people are able to share their stories on We're Good, what does that do for their organization?
Well, I think the first and foremost, it helps bring brand awareness. It helps make people aware of what these nonprofits are doing. And that's half the battle, because a lot of nonprofits don't have the money and the funding to do public relations, marketing, advertising, any of that. And so this gives them a voice, and it's evergreen. So it lives on our website, right, we'regood.net, always, and they can share it out and they can put it on their website. So it gives them an evergreen, we call it like an asset, right? A video or a piece of marketing material that they can share. And so that's number one. And then number two, I think just getting the behind the scenes viewpoint. They can share things that I've heard from nonprofits that I thought I knew pretty well, and I'm learning things about them that I didn't even know. So it gives them an opportunity to share their voice and also to share stories that humanize what they're doing and bring to the table some things that you might not know about them. Yeah.
And when we were having our coffee conversations, we were talking about what do we bring listeners? So, Tanya, what do we bring to listeners? Why would someone want to listen to the We're Good podcast?
Well, it's interesting because way back when we were talking, the three of us have worked in nonprofit for a long time. I consulted in nonprofits. And so we know the behind the scenes and not all of it. And so this is what listeners loved about the podcast. A couple things. And I'm data, so I'm going to share. Like our engagement score, we had out of 5, a 4.5 from our focus group. And 100% of them said that they would recommend the podcast to others. And you just mentioned earlier, like the news, like one thing that we asked was like, where do you get news? And how do you feel after the news? And the news has a broad definition, right? But people do newspaper, podcast, TV, social media, magazines. And when you ask people, how do they feel after they've listened to the news? 72% gave a negative word, like discouraged, anxious, concerned. But when they've listened to the We're Good podcast, and this is where I get really excited, 88% had a positive feeling. And it was inspired, uplifted, hopeful. And to me, that's what we want, right? We wanted to share what we know because we've been working in this area and we're sharing with others. So finally, to what Mary Ellen said, so even you, right, who have worked in these specific nonprofits that we've already heard from, are learning something new. That's what they loved. They loved the behind the scenes. They loved the stories. And to sum it up, one person said, lots of great work being done by regular folks. And so this is what we're out to do.
Yeah. Right. And to make some connections. I know that when we have our guests in, they'll be like, oh, I know them, or do you know this nonprofit? I mean, there's so many out there. How many in the DMV?
53,000 in DMV alone. In fact, we had a guest earlier that was like, how many people work in this industry? 800,000 right here in DMV that work in nonprofits. We've got lots of stories.
We have lots of stories, a lot of journeys. And one of my favorite things is working with you all is we also really are trying to bring in participants, people who are living out what these nonprofits are trying to do. And they come and they share their stories. And I have just had the best time getting to know and to meet them. It's just been, so far, it's just been a fun ride. And it's a journey. And we just really appreciate it. And we want people to be engaged, right, Mary Ellen? We want people to let us know how we're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, give us the feedback. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you want to hear more about. Tell us how you want to get involved. Yeah. Give us ideas for the other nonprofits that we might not have known about.
And we have that on the website. Don't we have a way to do that?
Absolutely. We've got a form on the website. You can fill out your name, what you're interested in learning more about, what you're interested in getting involved in. And we'll also have all the nonprofits on our website. So if you want to go learn more about them, you can come to wearegood.net and then scroll through and find the one that you want to learn more about.
That's awesome. Wearegood.net. We're going to keep saying that. And of course, we want people to follow us on the We're Good podcast. It is a joy to be with you all and to be on this journey together. I am so excited.
I can't even really believe that we're doing it. I can't.
Congratulations, everyone. I mean, honestly, thank you so much for being on this journey together.
I know. We appreciate
it. Great.
And we're so excited for our listeners, and we can't wait for you to listen to the We're Good podcast. So please join us wherever you get your podcasts, because remember, we're good and you're good, and we can all make a difference.